According to Aaron Schatz, this is one move every NFL team should make this offseason. And we're going to start right away. Number one, we got the Buffalo Bills in this, and it's going to say blow the Bengals out of the water with the Tee Higgins trade offer, which I don't entirely disagree with. The Bills, listen, they have no player over 1,000 yards receiving last season. Closest was Shedeur. They had no player over 6 touchdowns this season receiving. That was Mac Hollins with 5, no one higher than that. Allen did have 30 passing touchdowns, and imagine signing Tee Higgins, Cooper, Shedeur, Coleman, Hollins. That would be your wide receiver core, and that's not even including Dalton Kincaid and Dalton Knox. So for the Bills, bold move. I think it's a good move. I think having a true number one, although Tee Higgins has yet to be a number one, and for the Bills, I think he'd be a good number one. Next here, we got the Dolphins. It's signed Chiefs guard Trey Smith. Kansas City's not expected to franchise tag Trey Smith this year, and Miami really needs O-line help. But at the same time, a lot of teams need O-line help, and a lot of teams want Trey Smith here. Some come to mind. You got the Vikings, you got the Bears, you got the Patriots, you got the 49ers, and you got many more teams that would love a guy like Trey Smith. Now, the thing is with the Miami Dolphins, your GM over there, Chris Greer, is not known for giving up big paydays to his interior linemen. We'll see. This might happen this year. We don't know. So with the Dolphins, it'd be good to have Trey Smith, but a lot of teams are going to want Trey Smith. Next, we got the Patriots saying to trade away quarterback Joe Milton. With this one, I don't say it's super bold. Just for the reason being, you drafted Drake May, and you think Drake May is going to be the franchise guy over there. Milton, 24 years old. He looked great against the Bills last game of the season, although the Bills rested their starters, so little asterisk there. I've seen a lot of teams correlated to Joe Milton to seeing where he can go. I saw the Seahawks, after Geno Smith, kind of mentors him. Maybe he's the next step in line if Seattle goes for him. I saw the Browns. I'm a Browns fan. I don't want Joe Milton. The Rams, if they do get rid of Stafford, that might be a target. The Raiders, they have pick 6. Unless they trade up, most likely aren't going to get a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. So they might be, in the mix with that. Who knows? If I'm the Patriots, I say move them. I think you got Drake May as the franchise guy. No real need to have Joe Milton sitting there as a backup if he's going to get any draft capital for you. Why not? Next, you got the New York Jets trading away wide receiver Garrett Wilson. Now, should the Jets do that? Maybe. And this is why. If the Jets are in a full rebuild to where they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers back, they don't want Devontae Adams back, they don't want a lot of their older players back, go ahead, trade them. Get rid of Garrett Wilson and just do a full rebuild. Get draft capital for him because you're definitely going to get draft capital for Garrett Wilson. So get rid of him. Peace out. We'll see you next year, Garrett. Next team we got the AFC North we're heading into. We got the Baltimore Ravens saying double up at cornerback. This one, I don't mind. The Ravens had the best rush defense last year. Obviously, they could have used a little help in their secondary. Looked a little Swiss cheese-ish last year. I wouldn't mind, them getting corners like a DJ Reed, a Travaris Ward, or even a veteran like Mike Hilton or maybe Stephon Gilmore, just adding in some depth there. Bold move? Sure. Because to be honest, I don't know how many holes the Ravens do have generally. So I'd really just say the secondary. I don't know how bold that prediction is. Now we're talking about bold here. The Cincinnati Bengals trade defensive end Trey Hendrickson. I think that's a dumb idea. This dude was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate throughout the whole season. I do not trade away a Defensive Player of the Year candidate unless he really wants to leave. And we'll get to that next. Most likely, the Bengals aren't going to keep Higgins. That's just my guess. And the defense needs a lot of help. If you get rid of Trey Hendrickson, guess what? You're going to need a lot more help on the defensive end. And I guess the good thing is, and a lot of Bengals fans would know this, is that they did play better later in the season. And I think that's why you kind of keep Trey. The defense did step it up, but it did take a while for them to do that. Who knows the reason why? We're assuming they're going to be better next year, but assumptions, they always can be the first 3 letters of that word. Next, we're going to go to the Cleveland Browns. And it says, do not trade Myles Garrett. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I think if Garrett really wants out and he really wants to leave, you trade him away. Now, it really doesn't matter because the Browns are cursed forever to be absolutely terrible, but realistically, let's get back to it. Myles wants gone, let him go. I think, this is me, if you can get a QB in free agency or trade, like an Aaron Rodgers, maybe a Matt Stafford, a Kirk Cousins, quarterback that you know you can win around, maybe Myles Garrett stays. And then guess what? You draft Abdul Carter with the 2nd overall pick, which I think is the best player in this draft. And with that, you got 2 great edge rushers. We'll see Abdul Carter if he stays on the line or reverts to like an outside linebacker position. But I still think Abdul Carter is going to be the best player in this draft. And I think Myles Garrett teamed up with him would look insane, especially if the Browns decided to get Super Bowl potential winning quarterback like a Rodgers, like a Stafford. They won Super Bowls in the past. Next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers trading for the guy I just mentioned, Matt Stafford. And if I'm the Steelers, you've been in a win now for a while now, and getting Stafford makes a lot of sense for a win now scenario. I mean, you guys tried that with Russ. We'll see if you can try it with Stafford. I mean, he's 37 years old. We'll see how that works, but you guys have been in a win now for a while. Would even be a better idea is if you can get Cooper Kupp in that trade. Say, hey, package deal, let's get Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford as a bundle. Perfect trade for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think. Now the question is, who do you give up for them? How much draft capital? What certain type of players do you give up? I mean, that's kind of a question in the air. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, let me know down below. If you would even want Matt Stafford, if you'd want Cooper Kupp, if you'd want both, and what you'd give up for those players. Then we got the Texans. Now, the Texans, it's saying to trade for Garrett Wilson. And if the Jets are in a full rebuild and they want to get rid of him, they can. The Texans could give up some draft capital and maybe a couple of players here and there, but Garrett will add a tremendous amount of talent on this roster, especially in the wide receiver room, to where Diggs is not going to be a free agent. And Tank Dell's knee injury, we don't know how he's going to come back after that. So that's a lot of glaring issues in the wide receiver room for the Texans. They do get Garrett Wilson, Ohio State buddies, once again. If I'm the Texans, I think it's a great idea. Then we got the Colts. Now, I'll be honest with you. It's saying to load up on interior linemen in the NFL draft this year. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. They had a good defense last year, and they still need weapons, though. They need weapons or better QB play. Colts need a lot of work. But the good thing is, where do you start? You start inside out, linemen, defense, and offense. So hopefully the Colts can try to do that and rebuild their team that they got over there. They got some talent. Quarterback play was the one in question all of last year. Now we got the Jacksonville Jaguars drafting a tackle at number 5, and does seem kind of high a little bit here, drafting a tackle. Do you think Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks could be the picks there? I don't know. Or you can go after free agent Trey Smith. You revert him to a tackle, you know. But the Jags, they still need a lot of work as well. I think you're fine at quarterback. I think Trevor Lawrence is the answer still there. If Travis Hunter slides there, do you take him? I think you do, honestly. If Travis Hunter's at 5, I think you take him. I think you try to build your offensive line later in the draft and in free agency. We'll see how the Jags go towards that. Next, we got the Titans, and it's saying don't select a quarterback at number 1. Now, I do think Abdul Carter is the best player in this draft. For the Titans, I think it's a terrible idea, but I'm not mad if you go Abdul Carter if they're not sold on Sanders or Ward. I don't think Travis Hunter's a first overall pick. I don't think he's that franchise changing, especially for the Titans. Will Levis, I personally don't think is the answer. But if they want to tank again next year, draft Abdul Carter. Got a great defensive player in him. You tank again for next year. Maybe Arch Manning's there, and maybe you take him. I don't know what other quarterbacks they're hoping to get next year if they decide to do that. They still got a lot of holes on their roster. We'll kind of see where they go in the draft. If they don't take a QB, I'm surprised. Then we got the Broncos trading up in the draft to get Ashton Jeanty. And I think this is the best idea so far on this list. The Broncos, Javonte Williams, has not been himself since his ACL injury in 2022. And guess what? Little quiz for you guys. The Broncos haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since when? Give you a second to guess a year. 2019. And what player do you think was that? Who do you think that was? Might have been cut. He might be out of the league. It's Phillip Lindsay, the last 1,000-yard rusher for the Broncos. So they do need help at the running back position. I will say the running back position was good in 2021 when they had Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. They both rushed for, I believe, 900 yards each. They had a good 1-2 duo with their running backs then. Ashton Jeanty, if you get him this year, I think one of the scariest teams moving forward would be the Denver Broncos. Then we got the Chiefs cutting Travis Kelce. Now, although that would free up $17 million in your salary, I just don't think the Chiefs would ever do that. I know it's a very bold thing for them to do. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm asking Travis, hey, can we restructure this? Work something out? You know, we want to win one more. We're trying to add more talent to the roster. You're not the man who you used to be. he might take that a little differently. Yeah, if you're Kelce, you try to take a pay cut. As long as he's fine with his woman being the breadwinner. She already is. He don't need that money if they're sharing it that way. I don't think this would happen. Kelce's done a lot for that team in that franchise, so I don't ever see them cutting Travis Kelce unless he decided to stay there till he was 40, and then they got rid of him. Then we got the Raiders trading up in the draft and getting Shedeur. They have the number 6 pick, and there's a lot of quarterback needy teams early in the draft. The Titans and Browns are the first two. Then you got Giants in that mix as well. That's 3 teams that can use a quarterback. I don't know how many of them wouldn't take one if they don't have one by the time of the draft. It's a good idea for them if they could do it, but the Raiders always needed a quarterback since Derek Carr. I think it was a mistake for them getting rid of Derek Carr because I don't think they had a team to win now. They just kind of got rid of him and sucked ever since. I don't know what you would give up to move up in that draft to eventually get him. A Max Crosby? I would hope not. I think that would be a terrible trade, but we'll see what the Raiders do with that. Next, we got the Chargers trading for Tyreek Hill. Now, this one surprised me when I scrolled past it. I didn't expect a Tyreek Hill trade to the Chargers. Never really crossed my mind until I saw this. Of course, a lot of teams could use Tyreek Hill, and the Chargers are definitely one of them. You got Tyreek Hill and Ladd McCarthy would be your 1 and 2 there. I think he'd be a great add to the Chargers. He's still a great wide receiver in my mind, and he's just another deep threat to add to that roster. Thinking about it, Tyreek Hill, you got Ladd McConkey, you got Josh Palmer, you got Quentin Johnston. A lot of options over there if you get Tyreek, and it's going to open up a lot more targets for Ladd as well. Ladd already, if they get Tyreek Hill, he's going to be open a lot more. Then you got the Dallas Cowboys extending DaRon Bland. I don't mind this. I mean, it's still a good pairing with Trayvon Diggs. He's an above average corner, but a little bit of injury history there recently, not playing as much. Same thing with Trayvon Diggs. I mean, he had a little bit of injuries, but he's still a good corner as well. Obviously, if you're not able to pay him a lot of money, you try to do that. You try to throw the injuries in his face and say, hey, we don't know if you're going to play. So we'll see. I think extending DaRon Bland's a good idea. I don't know how bold of a move that is. Now the Giants don't trade for quarterback Matt Stafford. And I don't think that's bold. I agree. I think that's a smart decision. The Giants are far away from competing for a Super Bowl here. Now, I do agree they have a good defense. But I think adding Matt Stafford, they still got a lot of missing holes throughout the whole roster where they need to fill. They got one good wide receiver, Malik Neighbors. Tyron Tracy, all right, running back. I mean, they need a lot over there. The O-line, not the greatest over there. Getting Matt Stafford at at age 37, you don't have a lot of time left of Matt Stafford, so I think that would be one of the dumbest things the Giants could do. But they also let Saquon walk and go to the Eagles, so we'll see what the Giants can stir up here. Then we got the Eagles trading defensive end Bryce Huff. Off the bat, I mean, I don't think that's that bold. I mean, Bryce Huff hasn't played that much. He's already losing a lot of reps and time off the field, kind of losing, his time in that starting lineup. They already got a great defensive line already, and I believe Bryce didn't even start in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he wasn't even active in the Super Bowl. So Jalen Carter himself, Jalen Carter, will get better, and he's going to attract more from that offense. Bryce Huff, not really needed in that defensive line room. Kind of see where he ends up and see if he can, revitalize his career a little bit. Then we got the Washington Commanders trading for Cooper Kupp, and good idea. I think Kupp would be another great veteran wide receiver on that roster. Got him, Terry McLaurin at the 1-2 punch. I think it's a great idea. Now we're just assuming Jane Daniels is going to understand the game better come next year, and imagine how many more open targets McLaurin's going to get and Cooper Kupp's going to get with that 1-2 punch. Obviously, Cooper Kupp's going to be kind of used to that with having Puka Nacua the last 2 years, but I think it's a great idea. Who do the Commanders give up to get Cooper Kupp? Maybe a later pick. I mean, I don't know what the Rams are wanting for Cooper Kupp. They already kind of put him on that trade block, so we'll see where Kupp ends up. Might be the Steelers, might be the Commanders. We'll see. Now this is where we move into the NFC North, one of the best divisions last year, and we got the Bears build a pass rush. Now I know they're going to lose a lot of players, and that's what that's saying here. They're going to lose a lot of players on that defensive line. I'm going to be honest. I'm a big proponent of building up your rookie quarterback, your young QB. I don't care how bad your defense is. As long as you're able to protect your quarterback, you're going to be in a lot of games, and you're going to have a future for your quarterback. If you're just getting him killed over and over again, you're not going to have a future. Worry about the offensive line first here. They need O-line help too, and I think they need it more than the defensive line. I say just go build your defensive line through free agency in a mid to late draft here. Now we got the Lions trading for Myles Garrett. As a Browns fan, hurts me. But I will say, imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Myles Garrett. It would be insane. I don't see why they can't redo what they did last year. You know, the Lions looked like the best team in the NFL. They didn't look like it. They were the best team in the NFL throughout the whole regular season, and they kind of stunk it up in the playoffs. Shout out Jared Goff for that one. Jared Goff, I won't disrespect you like that. As long as Jared Goff stays consistent, and if they got Myles Garrett, think about it. They made it that far without Aiden Hutchinson for the whole year, basically. Their defense, a lot of their players got hurt the whole year. They had a lot of backups and a lot of dudes off the street playing on defense, and I think the Lions could redo it this year. Imagine if they got Myles Garrett. It would legit be insane. Go for it. Now we got the Green Bay Packers saying don't cut Jaire Alexander. And when I saw this, I was like, I don't see why they would. I know there were rumors about it. Now this is the thing. I wouldn't cut him. You could trade him easily. Obviously, cutting him would be a disservice to your whole team and your organization to where you could get capital for him. Like, for example, imagine trading him to the Browns, right? You can get Myles Garrett. I don't know if you can get someone out there in a replace of a Jaire. We'll see. Personally, I say keep him. I wouldn't cut him. I don't think that's that bold of a move. I think they'd be dumb if they let him walk. Then we got the Vikings. Sign quarterback Sam Darnold long-term and trade J.J. McCarthy for picks. Now this one is the boldest because it's basically just a coin flip. You're betting the future for Sam Darnold here. We saw what he did last year. He did great last year. And then later did what Sam usually did. Is that his fault? Not necessarily. But does Kevin O'Connell believe that Sam Darnold is going to be the same guy that he saw last year? We don't know. And I mean, before the year even started, JJ was out playing Sam in practice, and they were going to have him as QB1. We'll see how that goes. If you're a Vikings fan, I'm honestly curious on what do you want? I haven't seen a lot of Vikings fans, from my perspective, saying they wanted Sam over JJ or JJ over Sam. Kind of curious on what route you would want to go. Now we got the Falcons trading away Kyle Pitts. Poor Kyle. Poor on your fantasy team as well if you did draft him year after year after year, because Kyle has been fantasy players' love every year, and their heart has been broken every year when they draft him. Now, depending on what you can get for Kyle Pitts, I'm not opposed. They got a lot of weapons over there. You got Bijan. You got a great not a great wide receiver room. You got a good wide receiver room with Drake London. That's really it, I guess. I'm not going to really say Ray McLeod. Shout out Cordero Hodge. Got a game-winning touchdown. If you're a Falcons fan, you definitely remember that. Oh, and they also got Mooney. So I'm not opposed to trading away Kyle Pitts, all depending on what you can get. Now, if you're a Falcons fan, I'm curious, do you want Kyle Pitts to be traded away? Do you want to keep Kyle Pitts? If I'm a Falcons fan, I say just keep him. Why not? Now we got the Panthers, and now I don't know what bold move you would make about the Panthers, but double up on pass rush. Now, I made a note here saying that they need to double up on everything. The Panthers aren't a great team. They played better later in the year. I will say they need a lot of help everywhere. Double up on the pass rush? Sure. Double up on your O-line, double up on your receivers, your running backs, everything. Now we got the Saints saying don't restructure Derek Carr's contract. The Saints, you've been in salary cap hell for years now. Ever since you had Drew Brees in his later years. That's how long you've been in salary cap hell. And Derek isn't the future here. I think Saints fans know that. I think the NFL knows that. NFL fans across the whole world know that Derek Carr isn't the answer for the Saints. You keep him or you get rid of him, guess what? You still don't have much of a future because of the salary cap and the roster that you guys have over there. Sounds like I'm hating. I'm just being honest here. If you're a Saints fan, not looking great. Not looking great. Now we got the Bucks cutting Rachaad White. I know they're only coming in with $2.2 million in cap space. If they get rid of White, they save $3.3 million. I mean, I'm keeping Rachaad White for that. I mean, what other player am I going to really get that's going to change my whole roster and get rid of a good 1-2 punch when they had Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White? I know Rachaad didn't play that well this year. I still think he's going to be a pretty good backup in the NFL. I just don't think you should get rid of him. I say you keep White. The $3.3 million isn't worth it in my eyes. I don't know what other player you'd get for him. The last division we got the Cardinals, and I don't know if this is bold saying raid the San Francisco defense, right? I mean, if you can sign all those players, do it. It's not very bold. It's just smart. Then we got the Rams trade quarterback Matt Stafford and bring in Sam Darnold. Now, this one really is all depending on if you believe Sean McVay can do everything that Kevin O'Connell did with Sam Darnold. Now, McVay, a great mind, a great coach. I think he could do what O'Connell did with Sam Darnold. I'm just still not sold on Sam Darnold. I'm still not sold on him. You might prove me wrong again this year. Who knows? I don't know if Sam Darnold's the future. Sure, if you really want out of the Matt Stafford thing, go for Sam. I just don't know if Sam will be the same Sam we saw last year. I just don't think Sam's the future. Then we got the 49ers saying, show Brock Purdy the money. It's all about the money. And I will say, I don't know if you can pay him all that money and win. Brock deserves it. The 49ers are going to lose a lot of players, and their window to win is almost officially closed. With all the free agent issues that they've been having over there, that window to win is getting very, very short for the Niners. And Brock Purdy isn't going to re-sign if you're not going to give him a decent chunk of change here. If you're any 49ers fan watching here, curious, what do you think you guys should do? Because you got a lot of free agents, a lot of players to sign, and you're going to be running out of money pretty quickly. And lastly, we got the Seahawks shaking up the wide receiver room. I don't mind cutting Tyler Lockett. I mean, he's 33 years old. You're going to be saving $13 million a year there. You definitely need to keep DK. And of course, they're saying build around Jackson Smith and Jigba here. And I think those 1-2 punches, it's good. I think you save that $13 million with Lockett. Lockett, you're assuming is going to regress coming into next year. Still think he's a viable number 3 in the NFL. But he's not going to be getting a lot of reps on the field, so he's not worth $13 million a year, in my opinion. Say find another wide receiver mid-draft or look in free agency and try to get that next number 3. I think it's a good idea for the Seahawks. Now I'm curious. Let me know down below what you guys think about your team that I said. If you think, that all depends. If you think Aaron Schatz took a shot on your team here, or you think he has a shot take, who knows? Let me know down below. I appreciate you guys watching. Comment. I'll reply to you personally from our page. And guess what? I don't know what. Bye.